This video will be about solving quadratic equations by completing the square. Now we're going to do two examples here, one where we complete the square and one where it's already in vertex form, and then we solve the equation. Now, a while back we looked at how we complete the square and going from standard form to vertex form. If you'd like a refresher on that, I would strongly encourage you to go and review that video before continuing here. So we're going to go ahead and complete the square first and then solve it, and then we'll do one where it's already in vertex form, and then we'll solve that one because the square is already completed. So let's go ahead and we have to be in vertex form. Say x, we're getting into vertex form. So let's go x squared minus 4x plus 7 equals 0. And we're going to go with minus 7. Yeah, minus 7. Okay, so first off, we need to get everything over to the right. Y is 0, so we're good there. So we have x squared minus 4x. I'll go ahead and write that in there. We do plus 7 plus 7. Okay, now remember how we went in and we put our blanks in here. So x squared minus 4x plus blank equals 7 plus blank. Okay, and we said that that value was going to be b over 2 squared. So that means that negative 4 divided by 2 squared, that equals positive 4. So we do plus 4 plus 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue on. So we have x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 11. And we need to now rewrite this left side into a square. And we said that that is going to be of the form x plus b over 2 squared. Okay, so we'll go ahead and write that. So there's x plus b, which is negative 4. Notice how we said negative 4 up here. The negative must stay with it, so plus negative 4 divided by 2 squared equals 11. Okay, so we'll go ahead and simplify. X minus 2 squared equals 11. Okay, now this was the completing the square form that we were in earlier. Now we can move it into vertex form, but actually this is real helpful for us. So what we're going to do is we want to get this x by itself. In order to get the x by itself, we have to deal with what's outside the parentheses. The opposite or inverse operation of squared is the square root. If we square root the left, we must square root the right. Okay? So, since these are inverse operations, the square root and the squared, they eliminate each other. Okay? X minus 2 equals. Now, square root of 11, we can't take the square root of 11. It's going to give us a decimal, so we're just going to keep it like that. Now, we're going to keep it as square root 11, but we must have plus or minus. We must have plus or minus. And I'm sure you're saying, why, Mr. Herman? Why do we need to have two answers there? That's a great question. If we were to square these two numbers, so if we said positive square root 11 times positive square root 11, it gets us 11. If we said negative square root 11 times negative square root 11 equals 11, because negative times a negative gives us a positive. Okay, we have to have both of those answers there because both of them would get us to have that original 11 that's in purple there. Okay, now we want to get x by itself, so just do a simple little dippery-do here of plus 2 on both sides. So we have x equals. Now, can we combine the 2 and the square root 11? Hopefully you yelled no at your computer, because you cannot. They are not like terms. So we have 2 plus or minus square root 11, and that's great. That's all that you need to do. You're done. Okay, you could also call it x equals 2 plus square root 11, 2 minus square root 11. If you're more comfortable with that, go ahead and do that. This is correct. This is also correct. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at one where we are already in vertex form and we're going to solve it. Okay, so we completed the square already and we got to the form x plus 3 squared, say minus 16 equals 0. We got to this vertex form already. Now, like we said earlier, we want to get this x by itself. So we got to do everything outside the parentheses first. Outside the parentheses first. So we've got our plus 16 to the other side. So x plus 3 squared equals 16. Now we know that in the inverse operation of squaring a number is square root. We have to do it on both sides, keep our equation balanced. The square roots will eliminate the squared. Okay, so we have x plus 3 equals, the square root of 16 is 4. But we know that it's not just 4, it's also negative 4. For the same reason it's plus or minus square root 11. Always plus or minus. Okay, now we want to get that x by itself. Do some didgeridoo here. X equals negative 3 plus or minus 4. Now we will need to actually simplify this one because we can. Okay, so we have x equals negative 3 plus 4. X equals negative 3 minus 4. So x equals 1. X equals negative 7. Notice how I put my negative 3 in front of my plus or minus 4. That's where I see the most number of mistakes because we don't do the plus or minus 4. We want to do plus or minus 3, which we must not do. We have to keep the plus or minus in front of the 4 or in front of whatever number was on the right side. Okay, you've got a couple of questions for you to answer on your own now.